animated shows were a major part of my childhood. I mean, I've spent countless hours watching shows like SpongeBob, Rocket Power, Rugrats, and so many more all-time great cartoons. But that isn't to say that Nickelodeon hasn't produced a few bad eggs from time to time. I'm your host, as always, K-Mac Time, and today we're going to take a look at the 10 worst Nicktoons of all time. Spin-off shows never seem to be as good as the one they are based off of, and Planet Sheen is no exception. This less funny version of Jimmy Neutron lasted just 26 episodes before it was canceled in early 2013. The show is based off Sheen Estevez after he sneaks into Jimmy's lab and accidentally blasts himself to a new planet in Jimmy's rocket ship. The show just didn't have the same flow and feel as Jimmy Neutron and struggled to connect with audiences. Characters with names like Dorcas and Choc Choc were an instant turnoff for almost all kids, and the show's writing was nowhere near as good or as strong as the original show. Add all together, and you get our number 10 worst Nicktoon ever. Next up is The Exes, a short-lived show that lasted just one season of 20 episodes back in 2005. It centers on a family of spies who must conceal their identity from the outside world. The Exes work for Superior. The Exes have their daughter named Tuesday, the youngest son named Truman, and many gadgets at their disposal. An organization known as Snafu, or Society of Nefarious and Felonious Undertakings, is continuously trying to cause trouble for the Exes throughout their plans. This show never really caught on and was quickly forgotten. However, I do remember a few episodes of this show, and it's just so terrible. This is definitely a solid spot on number 9 on our list. Just the name Super Ninjas is cringeworthy enough, but when you hear that it isn't a cartoon, it's actually a live-action show, that's when you know you are in for an absolutely horrible television experience. The series revolves around Mike Fakananga and his friends, Owen and Amanda. After the death of his grandfather, Mike is given a mysterious letter which leads him to discover that he comes from a long line of vigilante ninjas and that he must uphold the tradition of fighting crime, and together the three form the group the Super Ninjas. The show actually made it to a second season, believe it or not, but that just means there's a total of 39 teeth-pullingly awful episodes available for you to see. If you ever need to torture a small child, this is the show you put on for them. Next up is the Naked Brothers Band. Despite the show being a decently big hit with kids aged 5 to 10, this show, for me personally, was an instant reason to flip channels to Cartoon Network when it came on. It ran for just 3 seasons from 2007 to 2009, and it just, like I said, was not for me. This show's extremely kiddish sense of humor made it a show that I couldn't connect with, especially when it compared to Nickelodeon's best live-action cartoons like The Great Drake and Josh. This show just couldn't stack up and became a total turd. Cousin Skeeter was yet another forgettable show from Nickelodeon, but this time they had a puppet character. Like, I know, right? Who ever thought that would be a good idea? I mean, the show ran for 3 awful seasons for a total of 52 crappy episodes before it was finally taken off the air. Within the show, Skeeter was treated like a regular human, and no one ever mentions him being a puppet. It never comes up. Like, that drove me crazy as a kid. Like, he's clearly a puppet. It was just so annoying. And on top of that, to make the show even worse, they actually used a laugh track. It must have been because no one was actually laughing at the show. Now, I used to love Rob Dyrdek's Fantasy Factory and even his Tosh.0 ripoff show called Ridiculousness. But his short-lived animated show on Nicktoons was one of the worst cartoons ever created, hands down. Wild Grinders somehow actually got a second season approved and even a direct-to-TV movie, if you can believe that. As you could have guessed, the show is focused around skateboarding as the Grinders need to shred in order to save the day. I'm sorry, Rob, but maybe you should have just stuck to Fantasy Factory because your cartoon was absolute trash. Winx Club ran on Nickelodeon from 2011 until 2015, but the original show was actually started out in Italian TV stations and is still running there to this day. If only it had stayed there and never come here, because this show is definitely a rotten egg. It follows a character named Bloom, a teenager from Earth, who discovers she has magical abilities when she saves a fairy princess. Then Bloom enrolls in a school for fairies in a magical dimension. I mean, wow. Man, whatever happened to simple plot lines like Hey Arnold and Rocket Power, Rugrats, things that kind of made sense. I mean, fairy princesses in an alternate dimension is a recipe for disaster, and this show is one you should just forget ever happened. Next up is Fanboy and Chum, another short-lived series that lasted just 2 seasons. The show is based off of a cartoon short called Fanboy that was shown on Nickelodeon's Random Cartoons show in 2009. However, the actual series that was spawned from the short was never anywhere near as good as the short. It falls short on shallow attempts at humor. It show loosely bases its plots off of pop culture and movies, but fails to deliver and tends to fall flat. The show is one that should have never seen the light of day. In our runner-up spot is The Breadwinners, which is based around 2 flightless duck best friends delivering bread in a rocket-powered van, believe it or not. The show started out on Nickelodeon in 2014, but due to a terrible reception in the remaining episodes that have yet to be aired of season 2 have been moved over to Nicktoons, and they will play there until they are done and probably hopefully never be shown again. This is one of the dumbest shows I've ever had to sit through for research for a video. The humor in the show is weird and all over the place. Then the whole leveling up or evolution part of the show where the characters change forms depending on what problem they come across. I mean, it's just a shitty poor man's Ben 10, and it's not anywhere near as good. I mean, at least Nickelodeon spared us by putting the show on its secondary network. And finally, our all-time worst Nickelodeon cartoon has to go to The Fred Show. As if his garbage YouTube channel wasn't enough to annoy you into a coma, then they brought this show out. I'm still not sure why Nickelodeon was thinking on this one. The high-pitched, super annoying voice thing that Fred was known for clearly wasn't going to translate well into television. The show lasted just one 24-episode season. It, however, did get 3 directly-to-TV movies, which I'm sure are also just fucking terrible. I never saw them. Oh, God, those should be burned with fire immediately. Luckily, Nickelodeon was quick to kill this show and never air it again. So what do you guys think about this list? Is there a show that I missed, or do you guys actually like one of these shows on the list that I put on there? Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. Also, if you guys could hit that like button, it'd be greatly appreciated. It helps me out a ton, helps my channel out a lot. I've been trying to get videos over 500 likes at least, so if you guys could help me out on that, it'd be greatly appreciated. And if this is your first time on the channel, you guys can feel free to subscribe for more videos just like this in your sub box daily. Next week, we're going to be taking a look at the worst Cartoon Network shows of all time, so if you guys want interested in that, make sure you guys are subscribing and sticking around. But remember, as always, guys, it's always K-Max time somewhere. Until then, take it easy, and peace out.